everyone, a very warm welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. For today, we've combined two TNAs for the 14th and the 15th of September. So let's start with the agenda for today. First of all, for the editorial segment, we have an Indian Express article, and its title is Bill to Downgrade Election Commissioner Status, What It Says, and How It Can Affect Their Autonomy. So, as we know that a special session of the Indian Parliament, it is going to convene in the next week. And there on the agenda sheet, there is a bill which seeks to bring about some changes with respect to the appointment, the terms of service or the terms of office, and the service conditions of the Chief Election Commission, as well as the election commissioners. So here in this article, we're going to understand as to what are some of the important provisions of this bill, and also a very recent Supreme Court ruling, which, as per the article, its mandate could be violated by virtue of the provisions of this particular bill. Secondly, we talk about the important news updates of the day, and this is going to be followed by the legal news updates. So without further ado, let's start with the article and let's first see the context of this entire update. So as I've already mentioned, the special session of the Parliament scheduled for next week, it will witness the discussion on a bill which seeks to regulate the appointment, the service conditions, and the office terms of the Chief Election Commissioner, as well as the other two election commissioners. This bill, which is called the Chief Election Commissioner and the Other Election Commissioners Appointment, Conditions of Service, and Terms of Office Bill 2023, it was passed by the Rajya Sabha on 10th of August. And now, with the special session of the Parliament, it has made its way to the Lok Sabha for its passage. This bill, it is scheduled for discussion on 18th of September. Significantly, it attempts to alter the constitutional provisions which equate the standing of the election commissioners with that of the Supreme Court judges. It also seeks to undo the top court's ruling in a case which is titled as Anup Baranwal versus Union of India. I believe this case was also covered in one of our weekly case laws compendium. Now, the second segment for discussion would be this, which is what does the bill say? See, this bill, it essentially proposes to revise the salary, the allowances, and the service conditions of the election commissioners and the Chief Election Commissioner to bring it at par with that of a cabinet secretary. Now, as we've already seen here, until now, the election commissioners, they were at par with the Supreme Court judges in this regard under the provisions of a bill of an act which is called the Election Commission Act of 1991. However, presently, if this bill it is passed, it is going to result in the repeal of the 1991 Act. Although this is something that we need to understand. See, the stipulated salary of a Supreme Court judge and that of a cabinet secretary, they are nearly the same. So the issue, it does not lie here. The salaries are same. However, additionally, the top court judges, they are entitled to additional post-requirement benefits. For instance, they get domestic help and lifelong availability or provision of drivers. But the core of this entire concern around this bill is this. This move, it seeks to bring the election commissioners under the ambit of the bureaucracy, which in turn, it could stifle their autonomy and their independence. The Election Commission's primary task, it is that of superintendence, direction, and control of elections, as can be seen by virtue of the provisions of Article 324. However, this control of elections, it is really going to shift if the election commissioners will not be equivalent to the rank of a cabinet secretary tries to discipline a union minister for electoral violations. Similarly, the proviso to Article 324, Clause 5 of the Indian Constitution, it categorically provides that a chief election commissioner can only be removed in a manner which is similar to that of a Supreme Court judge. So the reason behind the election commission's independence and its equivalence to the Supreme Court judges, It was so that it could freely and fairly decide cases involving the government, the prime minister, and the ministers. So from this, we can very well infer that it is so important to have an election commission which is not subjugated to any sort of political or bureaucratic pressures, and it is very important that the autonomy and the independence of this election commission, it is ensured at any point in time. Additionally, this bill, it also seeks to constitute a committee of the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, and a cabinet minister nominated by the Prime Minister to select members of the Election Commission in India. Notably, this committee, it will not have the Chief Justice of India as a member, which is contrary to the top court suggestion in a ruling which is delivered in March this year, which is the case of Anup Branwal. Now let's understand as to what was the Supreme Court's ruling. So on 2nd of March, a 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court, it unanimously ruled that a high-power committee of the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India, they must pick the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the election commissioners. Pertinently, the ruling, it said that our founding fathers, they did not intend the executive exclusively calling the shots in the matter of appointments to the election commissioner. Acting on a PIL which was filed by Anup Branwal in 2015 that challenged the validity of the prevailing system of the president appointing the election commission of India members on the prime minister's advice as unconstitutional, the bench, it came up with the idea of having a committee, the composition of which was also suggested by the bench, and it suggested that we have this committee in place for the purpose of making these appointments. In 2018, a 2-judge bench of the Supreme Court, it referred this case to a larger bench, thereby adding that it required a close examination of Article 324, which deals with the Chief Election Commissioner's role. Now, for our consideration, this is the second clause of Article 324. It states, the Election Commission, it shall consist of the Chief Election Commissioners and such number of other election commissioners, if any, as the President may from time to time fix, and the appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners shall, subject to the provisions of any law which is made in that behalf by the Parliament, be made by the President. However, since no law it was made by the Parliament as prescribed by the Constitution here, the court it stepped in. Besides this, Article 324, Clause 5, it allows the President to decide the conditions of service and the tenure of the election commissioners, albeit subject to a law which is made by the Parliament. In furtherance of this, the Election Commission Act, it was passed by the Parliament in 1991. So how does the new bill, it change the 1991 Act? The bill, it seeks to repeal the 1991 Act. There is a section of this particular bill, which is the section 3rd of this Act. Section 3rd of this Act, I'm sorry. And this Act, it states, the section 3rd, that there shall be paid to the Chief Election Commissioners and other election commissioners a salary which is equivalent or equal to the salary of that of a Supreme Court judge. However, section 10 of the bill, it seeks or it states that the salary, the allowances and the service conditions of the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the election commissioners, it shall be the same as that of a cabinet secretary. So with this, let's proceed with the next segment for today. And now we proceed to the national news category for today. And here, this is the very first update. The Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways, he visited Russia on an official purpose of representing India at the Eastern Economic Forum for 2023. The Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Shri Sarbananda, he went on an official visit to Russia to represent India at the 8th edition of the Eastern Economic Forum in the Russian port city of Vladivostok. The forum, it took place from the 10th to 13th of this month. The minister, he addressed the India-Russia business dialogue at the Eastern Economic Forum, where he highlighted the pivotal role of trade, of commerce and business in fostering stability and sustainability within the special and the privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. The shipping minister, he also spoke at the session on Eastern Maritime Corridor while also meeting senior ministers of Russian Federation on the possibility to further strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries, including exploring the possibilities of Northern Sea route and establishing a transshipment hub in the Bay of Bengal. The Eastern Maritime Corridor, it is aimed at reducing the cargo transit times between the two nations. Next up, we have this update. IIT Delhi researchers, they claim to have conducted the first national scale mapping of soil erodibility. The researchers of the Indian Institute of Technology Delhi, they claim to have conducted the first national scale mapping of soil erodibility in our country. So what is soil erodibility? It is the susceptibility of soil particles from becoming detached and reflects the combined effect of rainfall, infiltration, and runoff. It is one of the major factors which is used to estimate the soil loss, and it reflects the effect of soil structure, the texture, its permeability, and the organic matter content in countering soil erosion. Until now, we did have a soil erodibility assessment, but it was limited to certain specific regions and catchments. However, for the very first time, there is going to be a national scale assessment of the soil erodibility. Bhupesh Baghel, he launches largest wholesale market in bid to generate employment opportunities. The Chief Minister for the state of Chhattisgarh, he has laid the foundation stone of three key projects. One is the establishment of a commercial hub, an aero city, and Shahid Samarak at Naya Raipur. This day, it marked the foundation stone laying of the country's largest wholesale commercial market, which is expected to generate employment opportunities for lakhs of people, the Chief Minister stated. The CM also announced the commercial plots, they would be allocated to businessmen in the commercial hub at the rates of rupees 540 per square foot. Shahid Samarak, it will have walls engraved with the names of 2,700 martyrs. Next up, we have this update. MP approves scheme to give compensation to victims of mob lynching. The state of Madhya Pradesh, the government for the state, on 9th of September, it approved a scheme to provide compensation to the victims of mob lynching. The cabinet, which was chaired by the chief minister for the state, also approved the changes in the name of a housing scheme. So, in accordance with the Supreme Court directives to the states, the Madhya Pradesh cabinet, it approves MP mob lynching victim compensation scheme for the year 2023. And the cabinet said that ministers for this has been stated by the Minister for Medical Education, Vishwas Sarang, after the cabinet meeting. Under the scheme, mob lynching, it has been specified as killing of any person or persons by a group of 5 or more persons on grounds of religion, caste, sex, place of birth, language, food habits, sexual orientation, political affiliation, ethnicity, or other such grounds. Chennai-based engineer, he wins James Dyson Award for India 2023. Chennai-based engineer Praveen Kumar, he has been deemed as the national winner for India of the James Dyson Award for 2023. Mr. Kumar, he has been selected for his innovation called Mouseware, a movement-based technology designed for people with upper limb disabilities. This technology, it enables control of smart devices by using the power of head movements, allowing individuals to effortlessly interact with digital services and digital devices. The national winner, he will receive prize money of approximately rupees 5 lakhs and will also represent India in the international round where final winners will be handpicked by Sir James Dyson. Maharashtra beats Karnataka to win the fifth National Wheelchair Rugby Championship. The state of Maharashtra, it clinched the title of the champions in the fifth edition of the National Wheelchair Rugby Championship 2023 by securing a convincing victory over Karnataka. The fifth edition of this championship, it was organized by the Indian Rugby Football Union, the governing body for rugby in India. It was conducted in association with the Wheelchair Rugby Federation of India and also with the association of Mitsubishi Corporation. This collaborative effort, it aimed to promote and expand the sport of wheelchair rugby across the nation. Moving on to the next update. The state of UP, it is to introduce coding and AI curriculum from class 6 onwards. The UP Education Department, it will now teach the basics of coding, of computational thinking and artificial intelligence to over 50 lakh students of classes 6 to 10th in around 45,000 state-run schools. The course will be introduced from the academic session of 2024 to 2025, developed by the State Council of Educational Research and Training. This course, it will be a part of the science subject. The State Council, it has already prepared the books for all the three classes that will soon be launched by the Chief Minister. Once considered as a skill which is reserved for tech-savvy people, coding and computer programming, it has now emerged as a very, very crucial tool for development of overall personality of the students. Coding platforms, they have now become an integral part of the learning at school level and more so with the mandates which are provided in the 2020 National Education Policy. As part of the course, class 6 students, they will learn Microsoft Word, programming, Python and other basics of computer science, while students studying for classes or grades 7th to 8th, they will learn networking and cybersecurity, logical thinking, Microsoft Excel, data and artificial intelligence. World's Best School Prizes 2023. Schools from Gujarat and Maharashtra, they're featured in the list of top 3 finalists. Two Indian schools, one from Gujarat and Maharashtra each, they have been shortlisted in the top 3 finalists for the World's Best School Prizes 2023. The two Indian schools, these are Snehalya English Medium School from Ahmednagar in Maharashtra, and we have a school from Ahmedabad in Gujarat, which is called the Riverside School. Snehalya English Medium School, it is a charity school that has transformed the lives of children who are living with HIV/AIDS and those from sex work families, and they ended second generation prostitution in its district. It has also made the final 3 of the world's best school prize for overcoming adversity 2023. As far as the second school in the list is concerned, which is the Riverside School, an international school, it has gained worldwide recognition for its student-centric approach to education, particularly through its I-CAN methodology of teaching. It has made it to the top final 3 for the world's best school prize for innovation 2023. India and Saudi Arabia, they sign agreement on cooperation in energy sector. India and Saudi Arabia, they've signed an MOU on cooperation in the field of energy. The MOU between the government of Republic of India and the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they were signed in New Delhi on 10th of September in the presence of the Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy and Power for Government of India, who is Shri R.K. Singh, and his counterpart from Saudi Arabia. According to the MOU, India and Saudi, they will cooperate in the following areas: renewable energy, energy efficiency, hydrogen, electricity, and grid interconnection between the two countries, petroleum, natural gas, strategic petroleum reserves, and energy security. Also, encouraging bilateral investment in the field of renewable energy, electricity, hydrogen, and storage, and oil and gas was on the agenda. Circular economy and its technologies To reduce the effects of climate change, such as carbon capture, utilization, and storage, it also figured in the MOU. Virat Kohli has become the fastest to complete 13,000 ODI runs during the Asia Cup Super 4 contest against Pakistan here on Monday. Kohli he achieved this monumental feat when he completed his 47th ODI century, overall 77th, propelling India to 356 for 2 against the arch rivals Pakistan. The batting great score of 122 not out with 3 sixes and 9 fours in only 94 balls, bringing up the milestone ahead of legendary Sachin Tendulkar. While Tendulkar reached the 13,000 run benchmark in 321 innings, Kohli did so in 267 innings. Kohli he has become only the fifth batter ever to cross the 13,000 benchmark other than Sachin Tendulkar, Australia's Ricky Ponting, Sri Lanka's Kumar Sangakkara and Sanath Jayasuriya. President Draupadi Murmu, she inaugurates the first global symposium on farmers' rights in New Delhi. The President of India, she has inaugurated the first global symposium on farmers' rights in New Delhi. Speaking on this occasion, the President, she said that the farming fraternity of the world, its foremost conserver and they are the true guardians of crop diversity. The President said that agriculture research and technology development, it has enabled India to multiply production of food grains, horticulture, fisheries, milk, and eggs many times since 1950 to 51, thus making a visible impact on the national food and nutrition security. Razorpay, it acquires digital invoicing customer and engagement startup, which is called BillMe. Fintech platform Razorpay, it has announced the acquisition of BillMe, a Mumbai-based digital invoicing and customer engagement startup, marking the company's eighth acquisition after it acquired EasyTap last year. With this acquisition, Razorpay, it will get access to BillMe's client base of around 4,000 merchants, including companies such as McDonald's, then we have Burger King, Decathlon, Relaxo Footwear, among others. Next up, we have this update in the international segment. The Gender Snapshot 2023 report, Progress on Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations, in its latest report, which is titled The Gender Snapshot 2023, sheds light on the realities surrounding progress towards achieving gender equality by 2023, as stipulated by the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. This report, it underscores that deeply entrenched biases against women, the prevalence across various sectors such as health, education, employment, and politics, it threatens to derail this ambitious goal. So these are some of the sustainable development goals with respect to social aspects, struggles with poverty and violence. These are the challenges. First, social development goal, no poverty. The report highlights a distressing statistic that if current trends they persist, then over 340 million women and girls, approximately 8% of the female population, they will be living in extreme poverty by 2030. Second goal is zero hunger. With respect to the same, the report noted that women, they face food insecurity with 1 in 4 experiencing it. The report, it emphasizes the urgent need to address this issue. With respect to older women's plight, the report, it highlighted that they encounter higher poverty rates and violence compared to the older men. With respect to violence, the report shockingly stated that no country is on track to eliminate intimate partner violence, indicating a pressing need for comprehensive measures to combat this menace. There are other goals as well in the political aspects. We have the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which pertains to gender equality, goal number 13, which talks about climate action, and financial aspects were also highlighted. One is with respect to wage gap. So it has been stated in the report that the labor and the earning gaps, they remain persistently high. For each dollar men earn in labor income globally, women earn only 51 cents. Dhaka, Bangladesh, and Paris, they sign two bilateral instruments to enhance cooperation in different fields. Dhaka and Paris have signed two bilateral instruments to enhance cooperation in different fields, including infrastructure and satellite. The documents, they were inked in presence of the Prime Minister for Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, and France President Emmanuel Macron at the Prime Minister's office in Dhaka. French President, he has expressed France's unwavering commitment to support Bangladesh in its efforts to combat climate change. Earlier, Sheikh Hasina and Macron, they held talk to explore new areas of cooperation between the two countries. Macron, he is the first French president to visit Bangladesh in 33 years. He arrived in Dhaka from India after attending the G20 summit in New Delhi. NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, he breaks US record for longest space flight. NASA astronaut, he has broken the United States record for the longest space flight, spending more than 355 days in space. Rubio and the other two Russians, they will return to Earth on 27th of September in a replacement capsule that was sent up empty for the ride home. By then, Rubio will have spent 371 days in space, more than 2 weeks longer than Mark Vande Hei, the previous US record holder for a single space flight. Russia holds the world record of 437 days, set in the mid-1990s. China has become the first to name new Afghan ambassadors under Taliban. China has become the first country to formally name a new ambassador to Afghanistan since the Taliban has taken over, after its envoy presented credentials at a ceremony in Kabul. The Taliban, they have not been officially recognized by any foreign government. It was not immediately clear if this appointment, which came about on Wednesday, it signaled any step by Beijing towards formal recognition of the Taliban. A Taliban administration foreign ministry spokesman, he confirmed that he was the first ambassador appointed since August 2021, when Taliban, it took over as foreign forces withdrew. And this has brought us to the legal segment for today, and the first update comes from the Honorable High Court of Bombay. In a significant judgment, the Bombay High Court has recently held that an appeal against a trial court's order, it can be entertained by the appellate court even after the lapse of statutory period of 90 days under Section 21, subsection 5 of the National Investigating Agency Act of 2008. The division bench of the High Court, it read down the second proviso to Section 21, subsection 5 of the Act, and it allowed an application which was filed by a terror accused seeking to condone the delay of 838 days in filing his bail appeal in the High Court. The bench added, and I quote, "Courts, they exist to do justice. Access to justice, it is a fundamental right and it cannot be diluted. If despite sufficient cause being shown, if an appeal under Section 21, subsection 5, second proviso, it cannot be entertained, then this would lead to deprivation or depriving an accused of his fundamental right, which is guaranteed to him under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution." The name of this particular matter is Faisal Hassamali Mirza alias Kasib versus the state of Maharashtra. Next update pertains to CPC, and it comes from the Honorable Apex Court. The Supreme Court has ruled that in partition suit, every interested party, it is deemed to be a plaintiff, and there is no bar in pressing numerous preliminary decrees, no bar in passing these decrees. So in a recent development, a division bench of the Honorable Supreme Court, it has made a very important observation that in a suit for partition, every interested party, it is considered to be a plaintiff. Further, the law does not prohibit the passage of or the passing of numerous preliminary decrees. So, what is a preliminary decrees for the reference purposes? It is a decree wherein certain aspects the court has ordered certain things. However, certain other aspects of the suit they are still to be dealt with, and the matter it has not been conclusively determined, finally determined by the court concerned. So the Supreme Court added, and I quote, admittedly, we are dealing with a suit of partition in which every interested party is deemed to be a plaintiff. The law, it does not bar passing of numerous preliminary decrees. The name of this particular matter is A. Krishna Shenoy versus Ganga Devi and others. And with this, we end our TNA for today. In case you want to get access to the free study materials that we curate, please have a look at our Telegram channel. And for the same purpose, you may scan the barcode here or click on the link which is given in the description. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. Thank you for being with us.